Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Dotson, and I'm your host for Poetry Today, as well as the founder and program coordinator for Highland Park Poetry. And I'm really thrilled to have with me today Herb Berman. Herb is a retired lawyer and labor arbitrator. He reads a lot of poems, and he writes poems. Oh, he also reads a lot, not just poems.
That is true.
You're a sponge. And he's been published he's been published in many literary magazines, including you've been an active participant over the years with Highland Park Poetry, although
Yes.
It's been a while since you've submitted anything.
I'll do it now.
Okay, thank you. His first poetry collection is titled Poems for Ancient Lovers, and he is wrapping up the editing on a second collection with the working title of Let Poetry Sing, which should be out soon and sometime in early 2020, right?
Yes.
We're also thrilled because Herb Berman will be the featured poet at our February 29th, 2020 event at Coffee Speaks. The fun starts at 6 p.m. and an open mic immediately follows Herb's solo set. But thank you so much for joining me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And it's so exciting. Now you interviewed with Lois Bearbar. We can't remember when, but this was a while ago, and
Yes.
It was at the old studio. So that makes it ancient history. Maybe it's been 8 years.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I don't remember.
But Lois and I are both kind of ancient, so it works out.
But so it's been a while since we've talked, and I know that you remain very, very active because aren't you the mover and the shaker for the Deerfield Poets?
Yes, I am.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, that started back in 2007. That's when I got together with Mary Jane Gabrielson, and we decided to start a Deerfield group. We were in Highland Park, and we decided the Deerfield needs a group, so we started a Deerfield group, and we used the Deerfield Library, and we did it. It's still going strong. It's a poetry workshop. Lately, because of my infirmities, I have given over the reins to Mary.
Okay.
And she's carrying it on. So
Wonderful. And by workshop group, that means that you invite people to bring work that they're wanting feedback on?
Yes.
Okay.
yes, and we discuss it. And then a lot of the poets in our group have been published poets. They've gotten some good experience and feedback, and they've gone on and published their poems. So it's been very satisfying.
Oh, good. Excellent. And do you still sometimes bring your work there? Or
Yes.
Okay.
It's not
All
frequent, but every
Yeah.
now and then.
All right. Well, you're very prolific. You've been. I've gotten your emails periodically over the years where you'll send like 3 or 4 poems at a time, and
Yes.
It seems like you write all the time.
I do a lot of writing.
Okay.
Basically, I'm spending my retirement reading and writing.
Okay.
That's what I do. It's wonderful. I'd rather be working, but this is a nice alternative.
Oh, so you miss being an arbitrator?
Yes,
Really?
I do. I miss. Yes, I do.
Well, that's interesting. Is there any crossover in terms of your former work
Well,
life
it's
and your
interesting.
current writing?
It's interesting. That's a good question because I think that lawyers and decision makers, judges essentially, their tool is the language, and they write. Lawyers, there are a lot of lawyer poets, and it's no surprise because lawyers have to deal with language all the time. Now, it's a different different kind of language, but you deal with language.
Okay.
And I've always been interested and fascinated by language and its uses. What is interesting, I belong to 2 groups. I belong to the Deerfield group, poets, and I belong to a group of intellectuals, I might say, lawyers, professors, who get together to discuss topics, and they have no cross-connection or comparison whatsoever, except they're both interested in ideas. And that's
Good.
So I'm in both groups.
That's
In
good.
both groups. My poets don't understand my other friends, and my other friends don't understand my poets, but that's fine.
Well, obviously, both parts of your brain are being stimulated and engaged and inspiring.
I hope.
Okay. Well, it seems like nature seems to be a big draw for you, or a big inspiration for you.
True.
What else inspires you?
Well, that's a good question. I can't tell you. I get inspiration in the moment.
Okay.
Because I never know where a poem is going to come from. And my technique generally is to sit down with pen and paper and start writing. And eventually, hopefully, something may come out. And then I put it through the mill, so to speak, and I revise it, and sooner or later it becomes a poem. I'm used to drafting maybe 5, 6, 7 copies of the poem to get it right. I do a lot of revision.
Oh, wow, okay.
I do a lot of revision. And I want it to seem like it was spontaneous when I'm finished, but it wasn't.
Right.
It's
the illusion.
The art of delusion. It's the art of making something appear spontaneous when it's not. That it's been worked on a lot. Mm-hmm. That's true of all my poems. That's true of my writing.
Yeah.
As a lawyer, arbitrator, judge, I would write and rewrite. You can ask my wife, who's sitting back there, who was my editor.
Okay.
And she would tell you how often I wrote and rewrote. So, typical. That's my life. That's what I did. I even made a living doing it.
That's important, because poetry's not paying the bills.
Oh, you mentioned that. I have this anecdote that I trot out every now and then. When I was in law school, I was thinking, I really want to be a poet. And don't really want to be a lawyer. So I went to my father and I said, Dad, I'm thinking about quitting law school and going into poetry and I'm going to fly off to New York and, get in Greenwich Village and make a living as a poet. And he looks at me and says, Herb, I understand there's big money in poetry. Which kind of, I thought about it and decided, no, I'll do it part-time.
Yeah.
So I became a lawyer.
I'm part-time too.
Well, part-time. The only full-time poets, essentially, they're professor poets.
Well, yes, right. So the poetry is then just part-time, because even then, if they're teaching,
that's where they make a living.
Yeah, that's how they support their
I
poetry.
suppose Ginsberg and some others made a living as traveling bards.
Right.
As in the Middle Ages, they would go around and give readings, and they would sell their books, and that's how they made a living. But it's highly unusual.
Right. It's the very rare people that get to maybe the current U.S. Poet Laureate, but even so.
Maybe. William Carlos Williams, who is my favorite poet of all time, is a doctor, physician.
Right. Yeah.
Wallace Stevens, another. I don't know if everybody knows who Wallace Stevens. You know Wallace Stevens?
I've heard of him.
One of the great poets, one of the great American poets. He was a lawyer.
Okay.
I don't know of any poet who can make living outside of Allen Ginsberg, writing poetry.
Well, I think we're cheating our audience if we don't actually give them a taste of your poetry.
Well, I'll do my best. I'll give you a sample from my book. Let me go through it. The name of the book is Poems for Ancient Lovers, and much of it was written in honor of our 60th anniversary, believe it or not.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Not all, but many of these poems are essentially love poems. Not all. So let me just pick a few out and I'll read them to you. Here's one from my youth, entitled 1955, if you can remember that. Anybody can remember that far back. 1955. Yesterday ride shotgun in my 53 Bel Air. Cool as a Lucky Strike smile. I blow smoke in the slipstream. One hand on the wheel, 80 on the straightaway. I slow to a lazy sneer. Lucky's rolled up in my tea. Over manly biceps, bravado and nicotine sweat. And sure, a pretty girl shares my high. And when we park, we inhale Lucky Strike kisses. We'll never grow old, she says, but we did. My Bel Air didn't. James Dean didn't. And rock and roll still lives in an old man's dream. Now Luckies aren't cool, and 80 miles per and bourbon aren't cool. Even cool is not cool. But you, pretty girl, riding shotgun into yesterday, still cool as a James Dean dream.
So actually, that poem, I'm like completely spacing. That was didn't we include that in this summer's gallery of about driving cars?
Yeah, that was there.
Okay,
That was there.
That was fabulous.
Yeah.
So you've been much more recent in your contributions than I give you credit for.
And then I've incorporated that poem into this little book.
That's great.
The next poem is called Cherokee Park. Cherokee Park, we were born and raised, both my wife and I, in Louisville, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And Cherokee Park was a huge park not far from where we both lived.
Okay.
It's a wonderful quasi-wilderness area. Cherokee Park. We parked in the tamed hill wildness, sure of our place in the world. Love songs crooned on wave, and I knew we'd live forever. Forever young, she said. Forever polite, I asked, may I kiss you, ma'am? Yes, dear sir, she replied. I grew old, slow at first, then faster than a hawk ascending, a small hot mammal in his claws. I remember names. Carolyn, Barbara, Edie, Dora, Reva, Simone, all young, all delicious and desirable. We kissed some more, sang off-key to the radio, and smoked pell-mells. Life was sweet. Life was heedless. Life was forever.
Youth.
Youth. Another poem about youth. There's a lot of poems about youth. A lot of nostalgia. A lot of nostalgia. Again, going back to my youth. Summer of 58. I'm a few years older by this time. Summer of 58. In the promise of silver rain at moonlight, midnight, we dove into the coolness of Tucker's Lake, alive with animal longing. In deep, pure water we dreamed to the raft. How could we know that youth is merciless, a fading promise? If love is clarity and love is death, this must have been love. What did we see in the vanishing deep, and what did it say about love? That we might drown in its grasp? That bliss lies in remembering or forgetting? Next poem is called On the Patio. I'm accustomed in the summertime sitting out on the patio in our home. It's lined by trees. It's very nice. And often I read or write out there. So this is called On the Patio. I don't rise into lucent air, grow roots into ancient earth, or sink into the soil of my birth. Here I am, not air, not earth, not water, not fire, neither then nor now, not even tomorrow. A chipmunk flashes by, and an oriole, creature of air and attitude, winks out in the setting sun. Here I am, anchored to faded red bricks, buried in yesterday dreams. I must amuse blithe creatures of earth and air, this large immobile thing of longing and flesh, still waiting on the patio. Continue?
Yeah. It's great stuff.
Thank you. Next poem is called A New Day. I inhale September sunshine, drink dawn birdsong, feast on loosened shadow. I'm nourished by echoes of darkness, and the past shines by, crooning its silent songs. I'm an ancient failure who flunked fun and games in kindergarten. Now it's chance and puzzle, panic and disarray. Only the willow in the light blue wind offers its vegetable witness. At last, I've reached the age of wonder. Every new day a psalm, every dawn a blossoming.
Now, you mentioned that your, when we were in the green room earlier, that your children both helped you create the book.
Yeah,
Can you want to talk about that a little
sure.
bit?
My daughter is my editor. My middle daughter, Frances Diamond, and my son-in-law, Eric Diamond, is a graphic artist, and he did the book. Basically, he put it together.
Oh wow!
Did the artwork, and completed it, both of them.
Well, what a
And
marvelous
they didn't
gift
even
for...
charge me for it.
That is good, a
That
good
is
deal.
good.
That's a very good deal.
Yeah. I think we took them out to dinner, but I'm not sure.
Okay, all right. Well, that is a marvelous 60th anniversary
It was.
gift.
Yes.
For both you and for your wife. That's marvelous.
What should I read? Okay. These are two poems that I wrote regarding Yom Kippur. You know what that means? It's in the Jewish religion, it's a Day of Atonement. So I wrote two poems. Day of Atonement 1. Absolve me, dear God, my singular sin, that I long to be blameless, a smooth, round stone, washed in the deep, in muck and mud, in stillness and roiling waves. Tell me I'm blameless, that atonement is useless. I hold my breath and close my eyes. I shall ride the river down to a fathomless sea. The next one is Day of Atonement 2, which is more direct than the one I just read.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I wait. A thunderbolt, that fabled whisper in the wind. I adjust my Ferragamo tie, check the time on my Baume & Mercier. Soon enough I'll know what money buys in the grave. If not promise, what is that distant rainbow? Simple sunlight through raindrops? If not joy, what is that yellow butterfly? One more fluttering bug? At last, it's time to weep. It's time to sin no more. I weep again and again and again. I sin no more. And this is also loosely based on a Bible verse. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. Isaiah 6:3. And the poem is entitled Holy, 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 a love poem. A new day ebbs, I wait in the afterglow. Didn't you save me many years ago? Your glance, your caress. I kissed you first on a black moon night. Now love's golden shadow, this now and never regret love. We know the merciless world, profane as the stink of guilty sweat. Holy as rising light, I atone. Every year I atone, but decline to die. Before the infinite blessed light, let me sing, oh let me sing one more shining love song. Should I continue?
Sure.
Song and Dance Man. I hear songs unsung and poems of loss and love sing in the wind. Though I may be deaf to song, I sing all night and day, past fear deep into silence. Let me rise to commune with wind and earth, sun and stars, let mud and shit sing too, and fill my human heart with the stink of all these happy songs. In the wind I dance to now, let eternity dance to my song. In the wind I hear a sacred word. The word is life, the word is death. I rink with holy stink and the perfumed joy of a simple life. Before I dance away in the winds of time, I shall sing to silence. Let the world know I cannot know, I cannot know. Dance on with, let the world I cannot know dance on and on without me.
One thing I've noticed is that you, there is a lot of talk about song
Yes.
and music in, okay. Oh, wait, another one.
Yeah.
What's this one?
This is called This Mozart Morning.
Okay. Right. Yeah.
This Mozart morning, I inhale blue wind, exhale white wonder. I watch tomorrow shining by and bless the dawn, and dim November light prelude to the sinister season. Mozart sings a fugue of genius and silver hope. Snow is falling, slow and soft and deep. I'm much too happy to sleep.
So do you have, are you a musician as
No,
well?
I'm not a musician.
Okay.
I should have been, but I'm not.
Okay.
But I'm a great lover of music, so I listen to a lot of music all day long.
Okay.
Basically WFMT. But
So Mozart is definitely an inspiration as well as
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
A lot of them focus mostly on the classical.
Mostly, although I'm also a jazz lover.
Oh, okay. All
Charlie
right.
Parker is my other hero. So.
All right.
But yeah, music is very
Yeah.
important in my life.
Well, good. No, that well, it definitely seems to come out in some of the words that you choose, some of the references and images that you use.
And I hope the rhythm is somewhat melodic.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I was just fishing for that one.
So now the new one that you're working on, the Let Poetry Sing, again with the music reference.
Yes.
Does this have? You said that the first book is was for the 60th anniversary. What is the focus of the new book?
Good question. I'm not sure.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I mean, I wish I knew. Wish I could answer that question, but I really can't. It's in the editing stage right now.
Okay.
And basically, I guess it's about poetry itself almost.
Oh.
So I hadn't thought of it that way. But if you want me to read my
Sure.
title poem
Yeah,
from it,
that'd be great.
which I wrote actually, the first poem I'm going to read, I wrote a long time ago.
Okay.
And then I happened to be going through some of my material, and I looked it up. And I changed it, severely edited it, and came up with this.
Okay.
And it's the title poem of the book, Let Poetry Sing. In the hidden chambers of your heart, let kindness enter your life and fill your home with peace. In a world of wonder and strife, beyond the chatter of your restless mind, be at peace in a green and growing world. In the Eden at your fingertips, listen to the wisdom of songbirds. On a Sabbath morning, oddly at rest, in a world of strife, the usual cliché suffice. A quiet arbor, maple and locust seating, songbirds and chirping crickets, a music of hope, a music of longing, a music of promise. Don't try to enter the Eden at your fingertips. Let it go. Let it all go, past desire, past strife, past mind, past knowing, past everything. So that is kind of the theme of the book.
Okay.
The importance of poetry itself. For example, the next poem is called The Right Word. Some would kill for a word, any word, to fill the silence of this long black night. Even though light is known to drive men mad, shall I dare the light? Silence is left unanswered by urgent dawn. Each dawn a revelation, each a scream. To quiet your doubts, close your eyes and sleep. Then wake, perhaps, to sanity. Oh. I can read from either book. Whatever.
Now I had a thought, and now it escapes me. I'm sorry.
Well, okay.
I was going to ask you a question, and then it's gone.
It
I was
happens.
like, oh, hold on to it. Didn't
I
happen.
probably read and interrupted your thought
It's okay.
process.
All good. He'll come back.
This poem is called Valentine's Day 2019. The starless night, the weeping sky, how can I believe that light's on the way? And if it comes, we'll be here together? Don't sing what-if songs. Listen to an endless dirge, or fret over sullen days and starless nights. Take my hand, together we'll sing into laughter and love. Another love song, obviously.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. Very beautiful.
Promise me. You can sing, you can croon your sunshine song. I'll wobble my little dirge. Fires that burn the world, the rising sea, the monster at the door. When you hear my song, don't lose your way. Remember, somewhere there's light. Another brilliant dawn. Promise me you'll sing your sunshine song. I can go back to my published book if
Okay.
you want.
All right. Whatever. Is
Yeah.
most comfortable.
Oh, I thought this was kind of interesting. It's not quite a poem, and it is a poem.
Okay.
But I included it in this book because I like it. It's based, at least in part, if not entirely, on reality. The interview. it's called. Why do you write poems? The money, the fame, the beautiful women who swoon when I read. Is that why you started writing? Of course. You might not believe it, but I was a 95-pound literary weakling. And poetry made you stronger? Yes. At first I was bullied in the workshop, laughed at by lady novelists. It was humiliating. But then I exercised my manly metaphors, gained 50 pounds of gray matter. Now a man of metered steel, none dare laugh at my strokes. What advice do you have for poets just starting out? Make friends with an editor. Bribe if necessary. Anything else? Of course. To stay regular, drink 8 ounces of prune juice every morning. That's it? If that doesn't get you going, mix with 4 ounces of gin. What does that have to do with writing poems? You may have writer's block, but you won't care.
That's good. That's quite a prescription.
I've actually never tried it. In fact, in my old age, I could hardly drink anything anymore. So.
Well, it's like that poem was written for today.
It could be. It could be. Here's another poem that I thought was kind of amusing. Once upon a time, I represented working people, drivers,
okay.
truck drivers, factory people, and union employees. And I knew a lot of people like this guy in the poem.
Okay.
This is called The Legend of Augustus Pratt. I stopped and read life's meaning in the oil slick Augustus Pratt left behind when he skidded into eternity. Unremembered for his legacy, his Jim Beam sweat, his Budweiser belches, his late-night longing for Taylor Swift, his cargo of ho-hos was carried off by greedy ants who thought little of tomorrow or the lovely Miss Swift. Mm-hmm. For all I know, they were gourmet ants. Ho-hos their angel treat. How lucky for them. It wasn't Gus's lucky day.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I guess I think we're just about getting close to out of time. I want to thank you for being our guest again today, and hope that you'll come back. And really looking forward to seeing you February 29th, which is a special day because it's leap year, right?
Leap year, right.
All right, so February 29th, 2020 at Coffee Speaks. That's a Saturday, and the fun starts, as I said earlier, at 6 p.m.
I shall be there.
And there'll be an open mic that'll immediately follow. Any poets that are interested in joining us can bring up to 3 poems to also read at the open mic. I'm sure people should get there early because you're a popular guy in Highland Park and Deerfield, especially with the Deerfield poets. I know they'll all want to come out and hear you.
I hope so.
Yeah. So we'll advise people to get there early, to get a seat and get their coffee or tea or favorite beverage at Coffee Speaks, and get a copy of your book, Poems for Ancient Lovers. Well, thank you, Herb Berman, for joining us today. It's a pleasure to see you.
It's a pleasure, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you for reading.
Thank you.
You've got great stuff, and I'm glad that you're still writing, and we'll look forward to the next one. Thanks for the sneak preview of Let Poetry Sing.
And by the time we have the meeting in Highland Park,
oh, okay.
That book should be published. So.
Oh, fabulous! That'll be great. Well,
I'll get them on the stick. See what they can do.
Okay, that'll be wonderful. Well, thank you again
You're
for
welcome.
being
Thank
our
you.
guest, and we look forward to seeing you in the coming year. That'll be
Okay, I'll be around.
wonderful. That's great.
Okay.